Hey guys, welcome back to yet another episode of Get Corporate Ready. In today's video, we'll be focusing on what does it take to secure articles at a top 5 law firm. This is going to be such important information for those of you that are studying towards an LLB qualification and trying to understand what do I actually need to be doing in order to set myself apart. I'm going to be going through all of that information in this video, so stay tuned if you're interested in understanding what it takes and what it is that you need to do. Hey guys, my name is Butlari for those of you that don't know me. I'm a young talent specialist and I use this platform to give all the tips and tricks around how you get yourself corporate ready. As I said, today's video will be focusing on some of the key aspects that all law graduates need to know about how do you secure articles at a top 5 law firm. This is definitely something that a lot of you don't have all the information about. There's speculation, there's people telling you lots of different stories around what it takes and what it's like to work in those kinds of law firms. And I want to kind of set the record today in giving you some of the few tips based on my experience in terms of what it is we actually look for and why we recruit the way that we do. Now, not all law graduates aspire to work for a top law firm. So those of you that are wanting to become candidate attorneys and wanting to be in practice, this video is specifically for you, right? And for those of you that are still unsure about where it is you want to take your law career, listen in anyway, because this is really going to be helpful for you. Now, first things first, absolutely important for you to know that in order to secure articles at a top law firm, you need to have an LLB qualification. Now, an LLB qualification is something that you can do as a full-time degree, right? There's a straight LLB qualification, which typically takes about 4 years to do at most universities. And this is the one way in which you get that LLB qualification. The other way of getting it is if you are doing an undergraduate degree, whether it's a BCom, a BA, a BSc, whatever the undergraduate qualification is that you want to do, you still need to do a 2-year postgraduate LLB qualification in order for you to be able to secure articles, right? So a lot of you ask, well, Butlali, I'm doing a BCom law qualification. Can I get articles straight after that? No. So if you're doing a BCom law qualification and you finish it under the 3 years, it's still considered an undergraduate qualification. And so you still need to do a 2-year postgraduate LLB qualification in order for you then to be eligible to apply for articles at a top 5 law firm. So one thing I want you guys to understand is that the legal industry is highly competitive, right? There are only about 4 or 5 top law firms in the country. And for those of you that are wanting to secure articles with these top law firms, you'll realize very quickly that our expectations are also very high. And the reason for this is because the type of work we get involved in, the type of clients that we service, really demand of us to have some of the best legal minds in the country. And because of that, we look for some of the best talent across all the different universities. So you're not just competing with yourself and with your particular class, so you're competing with your year across all the different universities. And so I'm letting you know about this and I'm telling you this context so that you understand why it is we look for the certain things that we look for. Now, one of the key things that I think is so important for you guys to always understand is that top law firms typically start taking in applications for articles 2 to 3 years ahead of the time that you are actually completing your qualification, right? So to give you an example, this year, 2021, we are already hiring for the year 2023 and we'll start hiring for the year 2024. Right? So always 2 to 3 years ahead of the time that you are supposed to be finishing off your qualification is the time that you're supposed to be applying for articles. I've had many students that wait until they're in their penultimate year or their final year and only then they're trying to apply for articles. But that's generally very late for you to start applying for articles. It's important for you to know this, right? So for those of you that are doing a straight LLB qualification, which is typically 4 years, in your second year of LLB, that is when you start considering applying for articles. You don't wait for your 3rd year or your final year. You start applying in your 2nd year of LLB. For those of you that are doing an undergraduate qualification, whatever that qualification is, typically in your third year of your undergraduate qualification is when you start applying for articles, right? Now remember, when you're doing an undergraduate qualification, you still have to do a 2-year postgraduate LLB qualification. If you're keen to apply for a top 5 law firm, it's important for you to know this and always prepare yourself to be applying at least in your second or your third year of your qualification. This always ties back to my initial point around how competitive the environment is, right? So we always try to secure some of the best talent before you guys are done with your qualification. So always be ready to apply in your second or third year, depending on the qualification that you're currently studying. The second thing that I'd like to also mention is that it's important for you to start getting your good marks from year 1. So a lot of you will start off university and kind of ease in. You spend the first year easing into university life. You're trying to juggle your social life and your academic life. And I understand that, right? Everyone that goes through university goes through exactly the same thing and the same thoughts and feelings. But one thing you need to understand is that, to my previous point, if you need to be applying 2 to 3 years ahead of time, remember that we're always using the transcript that you have at that point in time to decide whether you need to come in for an article interview or not, right? So if you are in your LLB qualification and you're in your second year of LLB, where you're supposed to be starting to apply for articles, which transcript are you going to use? Your first year transcript, right? So you're going to use your first year transcript to try and secure articles at a top 5 law firm. Now, if your first year marks are not reflective of the type of candidate that top law firms look for, it's going to be very difficult for you to gain access into coming in for an interview. So for those of you that are still starting out, that are either in your first or your second year, make sure that you're gunning for really, really good marks. Because like I said, guys, there are thousands of you coming out of university at any given point in time, and we're only taking a handful of you at each of the top 5 law firms. And so to differentiate yourself, it's important, firstly, to make sure that you've got the kind of marks that we are looking for. Now, I want to say that with a caveat, right? Because I completely understand if you've had a terrible year from a university and academic perspective due to personal reasons or anything significant that's happened in your life, we completely understand that, right? So it's not a write-off if you haven't had, a B average or an A average in your first year. It's not a write-off at all. But what I want to typically see is that if you're applying in your third year, you may have started low in your first year, but by your second year, am I seeing an increase, right? Am I seeing that you've got the potential to do well? One thing I don't want you to do is just to aim for average and get average and think that that is enough, because it's not enough to get into a top 5 law firm. Top law firms look for top candidates. That's always going to be the case. And so in order to be a top candidate, one of the key ways is to make sure you're doing well academically. So the next thing that we look for, people that are really passionate about the law, right? People that are passionate about what it is that they're studying. And you can tell people are passionate about it by looking at the marks that they do, looking at the extracurricular activities that they involve themselves in. It's people that are really wanting to make sure that they have a holistic experience at university, and that experience is always feeding into the type of lawyer they're trying to become or the type of professional that they're trying to become. Some of the best legal minds that we have are people that are willing to just stay up reading different judgments, making sure that they understand their client inside out, making sure they're coming up with the most creative solution for a client's problem, right? These are people that naturally love what it is that they do. And so once we start meeting candidates that can display a passion for what it is that they do, then those people are more likely to get in than those of you that are just studying it for the sake of, well, I just thought it was a great qualification to have. Because the reality is that we know it's a great qualification to have, but how is that setting you apart? How are you using that qualification to set you apart? Always think from the mindset of, it's a competitive industry. How do I set myself apart? Always ask yourself that question, right? And so one of the key ways that you can is being able to demonstrate the passion you have for what it is you're studying, whether that's through getting really good marks, extracurricular activities that you're doing, or being able to articulate it in your professional summary of your CV, or if you get an opportunity to do an interview, how do you convey your passion through the interview as well? One thing that I've typically found is that those people that are passionate about what they do, they display a level of confidence in their ability, right? Because they speak from a point of, this is what I love to do and this is how I want to grow my career. And naturally, those people, when you then interview them, they come across a lot more confidently. Confidence doesn't mean you have to be extroverted, right? You don't have to be the loudest person in the room. You don't have to be the one that's always putting their hands up. You don't have to be the one that can network in an entire room and speak to lots of different people confidently. That's not necessarily what confidence is. Actually, a lot of people that are highly confident and extroverted actually border more on arrogance than anything else. So being extroverted does not mean confidence, right? Confidence can be displayed even in people that are introverted in nature, people that are a lot more quieter, people that like to kind of scope out a room and make sure that when they speak, they're speaking from a point of having observed, having had a level of emotional awareness to understand when is the right time to speak. And when they do speak, they're speaking from a point of being substantive around what it is they say. They're not speaking for the sake of speaking, right? And so there's definitely a lot of people that I've hired that are introverted in nature, but when they speak, you can tell that they exude confidence in what they know and their own personal ability. The next thing I want you to always be mindful of is a lot of the top law firms have vacation programs, and typically vacation programs are used for the purposes of giving you exposure to the law firm, giving you a sense of what the culture is, what the people are like, what it's like to actually work at a top 5 law firm. This gives you an opportunity to have hands-on work experience, to integrate and maybe engage with a lot of people that are already doing the kind of career that you think you want to do in future, right? Or that you are studying towards in future. The beauty around this is that it gives you a better sense as to what you can expect coming to a top law firm. So always make sure that you are making use of vacation programs. It's a great way to use up your time during one of your breaks, just getting further exposure. And by doing that, it helps you better inform in your mind which company you want to do your articles at, based on what felt right for you, right? Which is the environment you felt most welcomed? Which is the environment that you felt most challenged in? Those are some of the things that you guys need to be thinking about as you do vacation programs. Don't just kind of go in and do the bare minimum and kind of get through a VAC program just for the exposure. Get a real good feel of the people, ask the necessary questions, because the VAC program, like I said, is set up to give you guys exposure to us as a company, but also it gives us exposure to you on a longer term basis, as opposed to just getting to know you from an interview. Now guys, I really hope that that was helpful for you in just understanding what it takes to secure articles at a top 5 law firm. Now, even if your idea of doing articles is at a medium-sized law firm, a smaller law firm, the principles that I've taught you in this video are going to set you apart as a candidate irrespective, right? It doesn't mean that because you don't want to be in a top 5 law firm and that you want to rather go for a medium or a smaller law firm, that the principle changes. The principle doesn't change. It's important for you to ensure that you're doing all the different aspects that I've told to you, just to always set yourself apart as a graduate. Make sure that you're always giving yourself the option to do it at a top 5 law firm if you'd like to. And if you decide not to, you can go to a medium, you can go to a smaller law firm as well. And you're always setting yourself up for that. Always remember that you're going to carry your transcript with you for the rest of your life, right? And so as you go through different opportunities, it's important for you to always be proud of what it is you're going to present at any opportunity that you want at that point in time. And if you've done some of the key things that I've explained in this video, you are sure to set yourself up for success in any role that you'd like to go into. And the last bonus tip for me, for those of you that are unsure about whether you want to follow the law trajectory or not, make sure that you go on and apply to the BOWMANS Virtual Experience program. This is really going to give you a better opportunity to understand what it takes to be a lawyer, right? There are 5 different activities that you get to do. It's all self-paced, so you can log on at any time and complete the activities as and when you've got availability to do so. It's a fully virtual program, so there isn't any prerequisite in order to do it. We really created it so that we can give all law graduates an opportunity to understand what is it like to work at a top 5 law firm. So head over to our website and click on the link. I will include the link below as well. Once you've completed the activity, you get a certificate for the activity, and it's definitely something that you can then add to your CV as an experiential program that you've completed. And please let me know in the comments below, what is the one tip that I've given you today that you are not aware of? Because I do think there's a lot of information that gets misconstrued through rumors and assumptions, and I really hope that today through this video I was able to clarify those things for you. If you've enjoyed this video, please make sure to give me a thumbs up and make sure that you're subscribing and sharing it with as many law graduates as you know.